this computer. Okay. So once we do each session, we'll put it up on the BCTV YouTube channel, and the address should be on your screen. We'll do the same thing as we did the last time. So technical support will be available throughout the night tonight. If you have a question, throw it in the chat room, and Mr. Patton and the team are in the wings, ready to help you if you need help with getting on to Naviance, or if you have questions from the last time. And please don't forget that we've got that Zoom and help desk staffed Monday through Thursday from 9 to 2. But certainly if you need off hours help, please just let us know, and we'll be more than happy to help you out. So just as a reminder, you'll need your BC email address to access Naviance. If you're new tonight, we covered this in the last session, but if you registered late, your email address is your first initial, your full last name, and the number 24 at bergencatholichs.org. So if I were a freshman, be aspiegel24 at bergencatholichs.org. And your initial password is Bergen12, so Bergen12, all lowercase. You can access your email by going to Gmail. We're a G Suite school, so you'll be able to access your email that way. We did order, for those of you that ordered the bundle through Bergen, we've ordered the Apple bundle, the MacBooks and the iPads, and they're in transit. Our cases just for the iPads just came today, but the MacBooks and the iPads are in transit. So I will have information out to everybody. I'd say probably in the next week about those of you that are going to use your own and dropping them off and the procedure for that. We'll get that ironed out for you, and we'll have that ready to go. Just another reminder, if you have not submitted ID card pictures, to do so at helpdesk@bergencatholic.org. I know we've had a lot coming in. If we find that the picture is not usable, we'll reply back, but otherwise you can assume that it's good. And we'll have those IDs ready for September. But again, if you haven't done it yet, a vertical headshot, ideally in a Bergen polo, doesn't have to be the Bergen polo, but ideally it's a red Bergen polo. What you're going to need for tonight to access Naviance, a while back we sent out emails with credentials. You can also access this stuff on PowerSchool. And I have on the screen where you can get your Naviance registration codes. So on the left is if you go on to PowerSchool, and you go on to PowerSchool, yep, that's the dog playing with the giraffe. If you go on to PowerSchool and you click school info, you'll see all of your registration information. And near the bottom, it says student Naviance registration code and parent Naviance registration code. You'll need them tonight. So you can log into PowerSchool. If you are looking at the email that I sent a while back with credentials, it's listed on there. Same information under Naviance, right? So, and if you're having a problem with that, certainly throw that out in the chat room, and one of my team will be happy to help you. I just want to put up the chat myself, and away we go. Okay. Okay. So Naviance is our college and career planning website. It's probably I'd say probably the standard website that just about everybody uses for applying to colleges. It's become one of the, it grew exponentially where they were, 10 years ago. They are probably the standard. There are others, but I don't think any of them are as common as Naviance. So I know, yeah, college seems a long way. I get it. The main thing we're going to do tonight is we're going to get you on. Mrs. Niles will show you a little bit on how it works, but the big thing is just so you can access. So then at some point when you meet with your guidance counselor and they say, you need to get on Naviance, you're already on Naviance. You're already set up, okay? So what you need to do, and again, this is being recorded, so you can always go back and, and watch it again if you need to. You're going to go to the Naviance URL, which is on the screen. It's student.naviance.com/BergenCHS. Okay. So you're going to go to this website and make sure you have that registration code handy. All right, because I'll show you where that's going to go in. Okay, so when you go to this website, you'll see the image that's on your screen. It'll say Welcome Bergen Catholic. You're going to click I'm new and need to register, which is on the bottom. Right, and once you click on that I'm new and need to register, it's going to bring you to this screen. And it's going to ask you for your registration code. Okay, so I'd say if students want to do it first, the parents can go back and do it. Your accounts are separate. There's one student and one parent account for each student. Okay, so for students, which I'll go through them first, you're going to put in your student registration code. That is either you found it on PowerSchool on your credentials letter. All right, it's a combination of depending 6 or 8 letters and numbers, depending on when it got created. Okay, so you'll put in that code where it says registration code and then click on register. Once you hit register, you put in your code, and I'll go back and do this again. But once you click on registration code, you put it in, click on register. And then for students, you're going to put in your BC email address as your Naviance username. Okay? If you're a parent, you would put in a personal email address. But for students, it should be your BC email address. Remember, that is that's our way of communicating with you. We know what that email address is. Okay, so we're going to put that in the in where it says email address. Okay, if you put in the registration code correctly, you'll get the purple check. Put in your email address, and then you're going to have to choose a password. Okay, you're going to put in a password that has to be at least 10 characters, does not include your username, does not include more than 2 of the same characters in a row, and it's not a common password, simple pattern, or a common name. These are all Naviance rules, okay? They are not, Hobson's, who was the owner of Naviance, last December made significant changes to their password rules, okay? So this is all things that are controlled by Naviance. You can do it now if you want, doesn't matter, or you want to try it later, doesn't matter. If you're in front of the computer and want to do it and you have your registration code, by all means, try it. If not, certainly you can do it at your leisure. It doesn't matter. Okay. So once you put in your password, you're going to hit continue. As long as your password matches, you put in the same thing twice, you'll see this. It says your account is ready to go. Okay. So then what you'll have to do is click continue, and then it'll ask you to log in with your credentials. So I'll go back and walk through that again, just so we're all on the same page. It's really straightforward. Just make sure you make a note of whatever your password is. Okay. So we're going to this URL, which is student.naviance.com/BergenCHS. You're going to click I'm new and need to register. Okay. Which is on the bottom underneath the user type. And you'll only do this once. Once you've created your ID and password, you can just click on student and log in. Okay, you'll put in your registration code. So either from the credentials email or the PowerSchool portal, either one. Right, and provide you put that in correctly, it'll identify that code with who you are as a student. Okay, put in the code, click on register. Of course. Put in your email address, which is for students, your Bergen Catholic email address. And if you, for some reason, have forgotten your password, if you have issues getting on your Bergen email address, certainly throw that in the chat, and somebody from the team will help you out there. So put in your Bergen Catholic email address. If you're a parent, it's a personal email address. Okay. And then you're going to create a secure password and enter it twice. Okay. And again, 10 characters, does not include your username, not more than 2 of the same characters in a row, and nothing common, no simple patterns or common names like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or the word password or the word simple, anything like that. Okay. And once you put that in and it matches, you'll see they'll turn green, and you'll be able to click continue on the bottom. Click continue, and you'll get your account is ready, and then you can go back in and sign in. If you've done this correctly, and I'll give you a couple of minutes, once you've done this and you click continue and you sign in correctly, you should get this screen, which says welcome, comma, your first name. Okay, and this will be your home screen for Naviance. All right, so I'll give you a couple of minutes, try that. Certainly if you have issues, throw it out in the chat. And we can do what we have to do and make sure you get on. Again, if you don't want to, that's fine too. You can do it whenever you want. But it's one more thing. My goal is to try and cover everything that we normally would during your freshman technology orientation before September. Okay. And this is one that we would spend a couple of minutes. On, but at least tonight we can devote a little bit more time to it. So, BC email address is first initial, full last name, 24@bergencatholichs.org. If you've never been on it, your initial password is Bergen12, and you get that. You go to gmail.com to get your Bergen email. If you do not have if you can't access PowerSchool, that's a question for my tech team. If you have, issues with your email, again, this is not, if I don't do it tonight, okay, this is, it's just one more thing we want you to get acclimated to. So, and the first day of school is not going to be, a full-blown introduction to Naviance. It's when your guidance counselors are ready to talk about Naviance with you, you've already accessed and you're ready to go. So they don't have to walk through all these steps that we're doing now. Okay. So I'm going to give it like 1 or 2 more minutes. We'll keep an eye on the chat if anybody's got any questions. Otherwise, and then I'll let Mrs. Niles talk for a little bit, and that's it. Tonight's a simple one. The code for Naviance is either on the email credentials that you got a couple weeks ago, or you can go on PowerSchool. So you can find them here, either on PowerSchool, which is on the left, or you can find it on the email that I sent. I believe it was on June 30th with all your credentials. PowerSchool is the easiest one. If you log on to PowerSchool, onto the public portal, you'll see it right under school info. And I have it highlighted in red on the screen. All right. Well, give you another minute if you're trying it, and if not, like I said, you can go back and watch the rerun. I will have it. Blackboard is different, and I'm sure one of my I think as some of these questions might concern passwords and whatnot, I think the team you can reach out to some of these folks individually, so we're not throwing passwords around in the chat for everybody. All right, I'm going to let Mrs. Niles talk for a little bit about Naviance, just about give you a little overview of things that you can expect. Okay. Again, no need to worry if you can't get on right away. College applications are not due for freshmen. Don't worry. It's okay. But I'm going to unshare my screen. I'm going to let Mrs. Niles share her screen.
Let's see. Oh, I see.
All right. So Mrs. Niles' name is not Bruce. I believe we're using the Bruce Wayne account.
We're using the Bruce Wayne account, yes.
Yeah, you never know with our tech team what aliases you might find. So with that, I'll let Mrs. Niles talk for a little bit, and we will continue to watch the chat and certainly post your questions as they come up.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Spiegel. Welcome everybody tonight to Tuesday Tech, or in my household, which is Taco Tuesday. So my family's downstairs having tacos for dinner right now as we speak. But I'm here going to talk to you about Naviance. Naviance is the platform that we use mainly for college preparation and college applications, as Mr. Spiegel said at the very beginning. It's one of the more important platforms. You'll find it being used not only in private schools, but also in public schools. It allows us to communicate with the colleges when it comes to applications. But that's not to say that you won't be using Naviance for the 4 years that you'll be with us at Bergen Catholic, because you will. But the importance level of Naviance grows every year that you're with us. Okay, so for what the guidance department does is throughout the school year, we will meet with the students in small groups. Sometimes we go into classrooms and run a classroom presentation. And what we do for 9th grade is we show you around Naviance, explain the important aspects of it, and we get you started on something called your resume. Your resume obviously would look very, very different from my resume or Mr. Spiegel's resume, but your resume is kind of a Dropbox for all of the important things that you are doing, both for community service, for volunteering, sports, academics. It allows you to have a place to input all of that information. But that's really not anything you need to be worrying about right now, because we as a guidance department will come in to a classroom throughout the school year and we'll be working with you, like I said, in small groups at that time, walking you through the process step by step. So as Mr. Spiegel said, it's extremely important, Naviance is, throughout your time at Bergen. Our recommendation truly is that you bookmark Naviance. So that way you don't have to keep trying to go back and find it. Bookmark it, save it, make it something easy for you to remember and for you to get into, so that way you can access it to its full potential. Also too, if you noticed earlier, there are 2 separate login accounts. There's one for students and there's one for parents. For all the parents in the audience tonight, please keep your account separate from your son's. I know we all want to kind of jump in and see what our kid's doing and make sure everybody's on the same page, but it gets a little wonky when we don't remember passwords and then we're changing passwords and we're trying to log in and we get locked out. And a lot of times our IT or our help desk gets a little bombarded with, especially in the height of college application seasons, or various times throughout the school year, of having to reset passwords. So if you can keep those 2 things separate, it will be a smooth ride for the 4 years that you're here at Bergen, at least when it comes to Naviance. So if you take a look at the screen that I have up right now, you can see that it's good old Bruce Wayne. I hope everybody knows who Bruce Wayne is, but we'll let that be. So for Bruce, this is kind of an area where you find out different things that are happening at Bergen Catholic when it comes to colleges. So if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see what's called What's New. And these are, let's see if I can open it up. Awesome. This is where you're going to find when we have colleges that are visiting, either in person or virtual. This is where Mrs. Walter will input information and the colleges will input information when they come and they speak to our students and they entice them to apply to their colleges. Our students are well respected throughout the country. They are well received by colleges throughout the country, and they're in high demand with colleges throughout the country. So we have quite a number of colleges and representatives who come and want to speak to our boys. So that it shows up with What's New, unlike a calendar. And it'll show you the date, the time, the school that's coming, how they're coming, if it's virtual, if it's in person. That gets updated regularly. We don't allow students in freshman and sophomore years, I'm not even sure if we allow juniors, we might, to sit in on these informational sessions, but it's important information to have, okay? Also too, if you look down at the bottom, there are other resources that come up where you might, again, everything is going virtual, so you might see some new episodes or some new information that kind of pops up that might intrigue you to want to sit and take part in. All right. All the way at the bottom, you'll see too, you'll see important information for Bergen. You'll see our CEEB code, which is important when you're applying to colleges. You'll see our address, our phone number. You'll see our main website. And then you have links here for the homepage, for guidance. Again, when you get to the point of applying to colleges, you'll have the FAFSA homepage. That's the free application for federal student aid. And then you'll also see the NCAA clearinghouse website, which for a lot of our students who are student athletes, that's another important aspect for them. And all these links are accessible and they're right here, okay? Also too, you'll see we put information up for the different classes. So Bruce is a class of 2021. So he's a junior, he's a rising senior. Is he a rising senior? He's a rising senior. So that way we keep in contact with our students a lot of times, sending them emails through Naviance as well. On the right-hand side, you'll see that there are things called My Favorites. Again, it gives you the opportunity to click on some links and take a look and research some colleges. Mr. Spiegel spoke a little earlier about, might seem like it's a little early to be thinking about applying to college or a little bit early to worry about applying to college. Yes, I agree with him, but you know what? Some students need to have that goal in mind. So some students need to have and to see in front of them what the schools are looking for, so that way they can plan accordingly. And this is also some really good information for parents as well. So you can research the different schools, you can find out the different applications, you can find out the different deadlines, you can find out the different majors that they have, and you can kind of set your parameters and set your goals accordingly regarding, applying to these schools dependent upon what information you find from these different opportunities here. All right. Again, we go through this with each grade level at varying points throughout the school year. So this is not something that you need to jump into right now by any stretch of the imagination. But if you feel like taking some time and clicking around, by all means, go ahead and do so. The counselors, once the school year starts, we will be getting in touch and we will be, reaching out, I'm sure, scheduling time, going into classrooms, and kind of working Naviance with you all, so that way you have the opportunity to use this platform to the best of your ability, because it's a really awesome one when you realize that how powerful it is. Okay, so thank you again for coming tonight, for letting me speak with you. And I'm going to throw it back to Mr. Spiegel if anybody has any questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Mrs. Niles. It's, that was the idea for tonight. Just, you could see, hey, this is what we use. It's in the wings. It's something that's coming. We just want you to get access and get acclimated to it. And as Mrs. Niles said, there'll be a lot of a time to work with the counselor on how to use it and everything. So I'm going to, if you don't mind, Mrs. Niles, I'm going to take my screen back. Thank you. And I just want to put up our remaining Tuesday tech dates. We're going to go on a little bit of a hiatus until August. I was originally thinking the end of July, but I want you to have devices in hand for when we talk about device basics and everything. So our next one will be on Tuesday, August 11th, which seems like, it's so far away, but summer's just flying by. So we're going to do 3 consecutive Tuesdays on the 11th, 18th, and 25th. We're going to talk about your devices, and we're going to talk about creating a BC Apple ID, and then your e-textbooks. And I'll have Mr. Powers here to talk about e-textbooks on the 25th. And again, we're recording everything. This will be up on the BC YouTube channel tomorrow. There's a playlist for Tuesday Tech. What I will do is if anybody has any questions that they want to actually jump on and ask rather than putting them in the chat room, you most certainly can do that. I'll hang around if anybody, does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask? I mean, it could be Naviance or otherwise that they want me to answer for everybody. Okay. All right. Well, if you have questions, you have concerns, email helpdesk@bergencatholic.org. And again, we're Monday through Thursday, 9 to 2. That doesn't mean that, if you need to talk to us at, 5 o'clock and that's the best time you can, then, reach out and schedule some time and we'll be able to, to talk with you. But other than that, I'm glad you were all here tonight. Thank you for attending. And again, our next Tuesday Tech will be on Tuesday, August 11th. I would say by that time, you will have devices in hand. If you are using your own devices, you should hear from me probably within the next week, and I'll give you some instructions as to when to drop them off and, what you need to do. But in the meantime, I hope everybody has a good night. Thank you to my special guest star, Whitney Niles, longtime colleague and friend, and my tech team, who always does such a great job. And we will see you again on Tuesday, August 11th. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.